What we've seen so far is mostly wind damages around the Bay Area and then a lot of flooding as we go further north. So we'll start to the south and work our way up along the coastlines here, even off Orange County. We're seeing small craft advisories further away toward Catalina Island, and then those islands near Santa Barbara included. So coastal flood advisories are in this green color, that kind of a lime green along the coastal regions, as there's extremely high tides forecast this afternoon from our supermoon and also some strong winds around this storm. The strong for that region is going to be closer to 25 knots, 30 knots, but we get the gale wind warning here in the pink tone once we get closer to that 30 knot mark and above. So a lot of coastal flood advisories, a little stronger wind where it's purple along the coastline, but seeing that green tone extending all the way up to places along the coastline into Oregon and across California where that sea level is right near the ocean there along some of the roadways. So we'll go ahead and look at the ground reports. We're seeing that around Redwood City, not much going on. We do have that chance for some flooding risk, but as far as damages that have already occurred, mostly from what are called special weather statements, we had some somewhat strong storms, not severe quality, passing by the Bay Area early this morning. So, California Highway Patrol, that's the CHP here under the text here, reporting that a medium sized tree branch was in the road, was in the slow lane on Crystal Springs. Now, as we go further north, you'll see these reports get a little more dangerous. Again, by Hayward, there was CHP reporting a downed tree and power lines blocking Via Paro. Heading a little further north up towards San Francisco, large tree blocking the slow lane off I-280, southbound just north of John Daly Boulevard. These were early in the morning, around 8:30, and then closer to Oakland, seeing some more issues. A whole tree down, blocking the slow lane on the westbound Interstate 980. This is Alameda County between Oakland and Emeryville. So again, law enforcement here, we have floods now as we get further north. Like I was saying, the CHP then reporting eastbound 580 at Harrison had 5 inches of water in the slow lane. For those low-lying vehicles, sedans in particular, those air intake valves can sometimes be just 6 inches off the ground. And so if you end up in 6 inch water, this could mean that your car would stall. Larger trucks can drive through quite a bit more. The only problem here is, especially into Thursday and Friday, you don't always know if that road underneath has eroded away. Sometimes you might find yourself stuck in a hole or washed away if more water is flowing downhill and that water rises while you're crossing an area. So keep this in mind. A lot of rocks are down as well. So you'll be seeing here in a moment. This particular alert coming from Corte Madera of coastal flooding, where the California Highway Patrol is reporting flooding along San Clemente Drive. Now, this is going into high tide today around 3, 4 o'clock. Again, we got that super moon, so high tides are going to be a couple feet higher than what we typically find. That alert coming out of Lakespur, just to the east of Lakespur along the waterway. And then Bolinas Road outside of Fairfax, non-thunderstorm wind damages, a tree branch in the roadway. So these were part of the special weather statements that caught just the outside line of that. The National Weather Service, about a year and a half ago, started doing special weather statements, which is for activity that could be dangerous, but not quite meeting the severe weather thresholds. So in these cases, a lot of those caused some tree damages and pretty low winds, considering what we usually see our trees go down in. You'll see some more of those reports coming up. As far as we see near Napa County, it is the North Service Road 29 at Transcus Road, where both lanes were flooded this morning. And then heading off toward the north, a little more north of Santa Rosa. This is where you have some coastal impact. CHP saw a pine tree down, blocking the road. This was on Highway 1. Some of this highway does go pretty low down, able to get impacted by flooding, and then a lot of it ends up pretty high elevation compared to the sea level. But in that case, what we have to watch for is rocks, boulders in the road. Trees were down in Manchester. This is going to be, I'll zoom in so people can understand where we are because it's between Point Arena and Boonville, right along the highway. Now, across the road, they're saying that this tree fell in 27-mile-per-hour gusts. There is a weather station nearby. Typically, we see these kind of things fall after heavy rain around 40 miles per hour. There's so many reports coming in from Northern California that the gusts were only 25 to 35 miles per hour and still knocked down trees. So just to the east of that last report, landslides being reported, large rocks in the roadway. This is on State Route 253 near Robinson Creek Road in Mendocino County. So I'll zoom in by Ukiah here as it's right here around the redwoods where we see a lot of the landslide activity. This is where the terrain quickly gets more steep, and therefore we can get more of the issues with the landslide. So that's the one we just looked at, but Hopland was skipped over because I know there was a landslide there too. Law enforcement reporting that this was on a blind turn, especially into Thursday and Friday. I want to make sure that people are aware you're going to be interacting with more possible landslides. If you have to drive to work or you're going around in this area, I would use a lot of caution. A lot of these roads, as you turn corners, don't have many options. If you find that the road is blocked, it's a cliffside next to you. So just be extremely hesitant taking these turns quickly because you don't know what's around the corner. A little further north of Ukiah, this is the utility company reporting that power outages from trees making contact with power lines were ongoing. So Redwood Valley, all the way toward the north, has similar situations along the peaks. Near the coastline here, we are seeing law enforcement reporting trees down, again, Mendocino County in this area, and then closer to the coastline same issues. We have power outages from a tree coming in contact with power lines. And as we head up toward the north a little more, I'll zoom in so you can see some of the cities, but north of Brook Trails, here's one more report right along 101. There is a flood, issues with drainage at construction sites. Over the past few years during our solar maximum, we do typically see more flooding. In about 5 to 7 years, we are likely to see more droughts. But over the past few years, Highway 101 in particular has taken a lot of hard hits that are still impacting roads. Some closed on the way out toward Monterey Bay, for instance, not far from where we're looking at right now. And they've been closed for a couple years, and some more landslides, bowling ball size, are falling down into the road, reported this morning by law enforcement. Coming out of Mendocino County, also. This one, though, up in the mountain area, closer to Laytonville. So coastal impacts, more of the low-lying flooding, and then toward these mountains, we're going to see a lot of landslides. Because it's not very populated in this area of Northern California, we don't always get the reports, even if there are issues. We are so appreciative if anybody wants to share in the comments or go down into the description, find our social media channels, and share more information with us so we can go ahead and let other people know what's going on to the best of our ability. Now, as we go further north here, again, Northern California still, utility company PG&E most likely reporting power outages from trees again, making contact with the lines. They were out there clearing some of the area. I know it looks like a lot of areas still have trees that can get blown in the wind and hit those power lines. Again, this is happening in Humboldt County near Redway. So a lot of these impacts were the same. Tree and power lines down is another issue right here, right around 101 near Garberville. Heading up toward the north, we're getting far into Northern California now by Fortuna and Ferndale. They had a lot of the rainfall. Some people reporting up to 6 inches of rain throughout this. A lot of them coming in right around 5 inches. But we do see that greenhouse was torn apart, large branches down near Dismore. Also came in early this morning. And then closer to Dell, to the east of Dell. This is 12 to 18 inches diameter tree across the roadway. Again, we're not having the strongest winds, but because the ground is so wet, things are going to be falling down much easier than normal. As we head into the next area just to the west, probably let's go in. I think it's still actually Dell, technically. Rio Dell here. I'll use this icon instead as my mouse pad's being a little touchy today. So north of Laytonville is where we are, near Fortuna and into Dell. I'll zoom in a little closer here. So right along 101, Rio Dell, power lines down across Monument Road. Closer to Fortuna, 10-inch diameter tree down. A lot of these gusts, you'll be starting to see some of the reports show that near the sites of downed trees, they were only 25 to 35 mile an hour gusts. Typically, it takes more like 40 to 45 to knock these over. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there are some stronger winds that just aren't being recorded right at the site of the strongest part of that wind. Because here we have an 8-foot tall fence that was pushed halfway over in Fortuna. That could definitely happen in 35 mile an hour gusts too if they just keep pushing. Now, Ferndale has some flooding issues. It is their elementary school basement that was flooded this morning. So hopefully they can get that cleaned out in a timely manner. It's never fun to deal with all the mold. A little further north than Humboldt County, lots of power lines down and trees down. This is another one of those areas that had a special weather statement this morning as some stronger thunderstorms were passing by. 25 to 35 mile per hour gusts recorded around the time of those trees going down. Again, could have been a little stronger and just not have that device right there on site to record. Further north, still Humboldt County, trees blocking the road completely. We have some more of that going on. That's West Hill, also Pine Hills, California. Same thing, trees blocking the road. So between Fortuna and Eureka, there's been quite a few power outages and trees down. Here we have 1,300 customers affected by the single line. And then up 101 in Arcata, we have again trees blocking the road. So that's been the major impact. And then closer to the coast, some of the flooding. Utility pole went down on Neeland Road in Humboldt County. This is going to be a little further inland and in toward the mountains. Now, just west of Blue Lake, it is McKinleyville Road where there are trees blocking the westbound lane. This one coming in a little bit more recently. So this is still an active situation. A lot of the trees down from this morning I know were being cleared. But as we continue through the day, on Thursday and Friday especially, it's going to be a lot more landslides that we're going to be seeing. And then further inland, as this storm is now making its way over the mountains, we're seeing even near Redding. This is in Shasta County, off Pine Grove. This is CHP reporting large trees down approximately 2 feet in diameter, 40-foot long. Union School Road and Holiday Road. This came in with 55 mile per hour gusts being reported nearby. And South Weaverville, trees and debris blocking the southbound lane on State Route 3 near Carr Creek Road. And just outside of Weaverville, we have another city in this region near Trinity Village that's been affected along the highway. Once again, a lot of times we're only getting reports near the roadways because that's what's visible. So a landslide has occurred here. Both east and westbound lanes are blocked by rocks. I'll zoom in a little bit more. I'm not sure off the top of my head what route this is. This is going to be California 299. And again, just by Burt Branch, closer to Trinity Village, this is large rocks in the middle of the road. Eastbound lane in that case for 299. So again, be extremely cautious if you're driving around, especially Thursday, Friday. It's going to be impacting all the way through then. Just north of Oric, some more of these trees blocking the lanes. That came in very early this morning, and I believe that one's been cleared already. Del Norte, rock slide onto Highway 169 east of Klamath. These can take a little longer to clean up. So when it comes to the rocks, big boulders, I haven't heard of any being too massive. Most of the machinery would be able to move the ones that are about basketball size that we've been hearing were falling down. So north of Crescent City, again, trees down, blocking both lanes. Not very strong wind gusts for that. They're saying 27 miles per hour. To where trees down also, as we look at still Del Norte County, but much further inland. This has been an ongoing issue for about 12 hours and will continue. Landslide also being reported Del Norte County, this one much closer to the border of Oregon. I'll zoom out real quick so you can see then that distinct border line between Smith River and Brookings going east to west. This is now where we're into Oregon. So inland Oregon, really just reporting about 1 to 2 inches of rain. That's what most of their alerts are coming in as. And Gold Beach in particular, 24-hour amount, station elevation 49 feet, showing 2.5 inches of rain. So right along the coast is where they've gotten a little more rain, 1.5 inches as you go north into Port Orford. So things have not been as dramatic further to the north. It's really that stretch between Northern California and very far southwestern Oregon where we have the biggest issues, and then along that first mountain peak going in Northern California. Off the coast, we have some of these orange icons. Those are going to be special marine warnings. So some of these thunderstorms coming onshore will have the ability throughout Wednesday to create more coastal flooding impacts. And that's what all the green colors are for. This is the special weather statement I was talking about earlier. They're going to be having reports in there with some wind gusts that could knock over trees and power lines, especially where the ground is soaked, which is not such as big of a problem in Washington as it was in California. So be aware that hazard could exist, but I don't believe there will be as many trees down as what we just saw to the south. In this latest update here from Grace Harbor County, it is showing that there were 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So that could definitely knock down trees, especially where it has been soaked on the ground. Some of these areas have been. Just be extremely cautious of that if you're driving anywhere through this area. And I would expect this storm to kind of settle down a little bit before hitting Seattle. But between Seattle and Everett, in about an hour or two, locally, that's going to be 11:30, 12:30, about 12:30. This is when we could be seeing some of these impacts going into the bigger cities across the water there. So I hope everybody can stay safe through these. Let us know if you have questions. We just have some snow reports coming out of the mountains between Idaho and Montana. Nothing else too dramatic. Some wind gusts there in the Dakotas, around 50 miles per hour. But as far as super dangerous weather, it pretty much cuts off there. There's some fire weather warnings in the pink there between Virginia and West Virginia. A lot of stronger winds around the northeast as a storm system is exiting. But the other most impactful situation going on right now is going to be in the Philippines. This is where a super typhoon is about to form, just north of Papua New Guinea. We are going to be seeing this impacting close to Manila, which is the most populated city in the Philippines. The last round, that you can see a big storm circulation moving toward Vietnam. It had passed the Philippines with lower wind speeds and more in the central islands. As far as this next storm goes, it will be further up toward the north and more impactful for larger populations. I'll continue some updates on that as we go through the day. For now, I'll end this stream and let me know if you have any questions in the comments.